Many congratulations to the top three finishers of the 2020 FIA Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix. In third place, Alex Albon. In second place, Max Verstappen. And our winner, Lewis Hamilton. Lewis, many congratulations on your 95th win, and you're now a four-time winner here in Bahrain. It's been an emotional roller coaster this evening, given Romain Grosjean's accident. Please, can you just try and sum it all up for us?
Well, we just had to do it downstairs like 7 times already, so I don't really regurgitate what I had said downstairs, but it was terrifying to see. Haven't seen something like that for a long, long time, and it really hits home for a driver, because I think whilst we're all competing for each other and want to beat each other, we definitely, I would think, want safety for everyone and worry about one another when there is an issue, when there is a crash. And so I'm really grateful that he's safe and was able to get out. But I think it's a real stark reminder of just how dangerous this sport can be, the speeds that we're traveling, the energy that we're carrying whilst we're traveling at those speeds. And the FIA have obviously done an amazing job, but we can't stop at where we are. We've got to keep on trying to improve, but I think that's what also makes this sport great. We're constantly evolving, and it is still a dangerous sport. I'm sure there's people that tuned in have never seen something like that, and it just shows that those things can happen. I think we're aware of that as racing drivers and the risks that we take, but now everyone else is.
And when there's a 1.5 hour delay like that, what are you thinking about, and how hard is it to get back into the zone?
It's definitely not, I mean, I'm sure it's different for each and every one of us, but and it's definitely not easy. You think about the fact how, if everyone else is shocked, just imagine how his family's feeling. And then again, that's, we're putting our helmets on, we're going back out there, and it's anything can happen with these cars. So definitely wasn't easy to get back into the zone, into race mode, but the race goes on, and that's what we've got to do. So head down, and otherwise this guy's going to beat me. Very nearly did today.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the race. 2 fabulous starts from you. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, the first start was really great, and when you get a start like that, you always hope that you can just keep going, but then obviously the safety car came out, or the red flag came out. And then to go back into it, we were behind the safety car, and it was quite slow behind the safety car was driving really slow, not really quite sure why, but so our tires would have been at a lower temperature. And so it was definitely a slightly different second start, but the second start was also spot on. And after that was generally trying to build the gap to Max, but he had great pace, so in the early stages it wasn't particularly easy to do that, and I think because he was following me, his tyres would have overheated sooner than mine, and then I was able to bridge a little bit of a gap. But then after that he had the 2 hard tyres, and it was really quite difficult to maintain the speed that he had on the medium tyre, particularly in that middle stint. And at the end we're both on the hard, but he still also had a really good pace, and I was just trying to manage the tyres, which I struggled with, I think, today, so it seems, compared to perhaps them, perhaps Max. So a good battle, and also it was physical out there. I think it's always been a physical circuit, and even though it's cooler, you still have those G's through the corners.
Many congratulations. Well done, Lewis. Max, coming to you. Lewis says it was a good battle. How pleased were you with your pace today?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I think we're trying to keep the pressure on, but I think we didn't do a good job with the strategy today. We had the tires to be more aggressive, and we didn't do it. So first stop we should have pulled Lewis in instead of Lewis pulling me in. So I don't know what was going on there. And then, of course, I had the hard tire after that first stop, and I think it was the right tire to be on, because initially I gained a bit back on Lewis, of course, because he was just bringing his tires up to temperature a bit slower, and with a harder compound you can push a bit harder on them. initially, and yeah, that's where you then just lose out with those 1.5, 2 seconds you lose over a lap, stopping a lap later. And of course, then my second stop wasn't good. I don't know exactly what happened there, but we'll look into that. So then you're even further behind, but we're always like 4 seconds behind, and with whatever we did wrong today, I think that's just very costly. I mean, I don't think we had, let's say, the better pace, but we could have done a better job with putting them a bit more under pressure. And yeah, we didn't do it. And then, of course, I stopped another time. Of course, for the fast lap is great, but basically after the red flag and the safety car, the 3 stop was a no-go, and we still did it. So I don't really get the point of that. But yeah, we'll look into it. Second is still, of course, okay. But I think in the way we were second today, it wasn't very satisfying. I would have liked to be a bit more aggressive. And then, of course, if it fails being aggressive, so be it. You know, I have nothing to lose. Like, even if we would fail, I would still be second. So there's nothing. Yeah, I don't get why we were so conservative.
Okay, and please, can we just get your thoughts on Grosjean's accident, please?
Yeah, of course, that was a crazy incident. I mean, when I saw the flames, that was pretty scary to watch. But luckily, of course, he jumped out of the car himself. That was the most important. And yeah, you can really see the safety, how much it has improved. I think also the halo today saved his life. In the beginning, when it came onto the cars, I was quite critical about it, that it looked ugly, but you can't say anything about the safety, because today it definitely saved Hormel, so very happy about that. And yeah, thoughts are with him and of course his family as well, because you know they're watching in the front of TV, and that's never nice. So I hope that he will recover very soon and he will be back with us.
Thank you, Max. Alex, coming to you, your second podium of the season. Just give us your reaction. How satisfied are you?
Yeah, I mean it was a good race. Obviously, Sergio had a great race too, and he had the blow up. So partly, let's say, not fully satisfied, but it was still there. We had to be there to capitalise on it. And on my side, it was a good race. We had a good start, something which we've been working on recently, and it's nice to see it getting better. And then from that point on, it was more or less just being there to capitalise, because I didn't quite have the pace to overtake Sergio, but we were just there behind him waiting for something to happen, and it did. So P3, it was a good result, and especially a double podium for the team. That's good for them as well.
First double podium for the team for 3 years. Alex, can we also get your thoughts, please, your reaction to Grosjean's accident?
Yeah, I think, well, Lewis and Max summed it up pretty well. I think there's not much to add on to it, just that, it's one of them things where when you see it, when you come out of turn 8 and you just see this fireball, it's really scary. It's scary because, firstly, you just want to know if whatever is happened there, that the drivers got out, and at the time the team didn't know, and it's just one of them things where you're worried for your fellow driver. But as these two have said as well, I think it just shows how good of a job the FIA are doing, and not just the standards of the car, but also the marshals, the medical car, everyone involved in that. And of course, there's always a little bit of luck involved in it as well. But to see Romain walk away, it's a testament for all the hard work that's being done behind the scenes.
Thank you, Alex. We'll go to the video conference now, and we'll start with Alex Kalinauckas, please, from Autosport.
Thank you, Tom. It's a question to Max, please, about your tactics after each of your stops today in terms of how aggressive you were being on your pace. Was it always the approach to push from the off each stint, because you saw that as the only way to pressure Lewis, even if that meant you sort of lost a bit of time towards the end of each stint with the life running out? And also to Lewis, if I may, was it then a case of you taking it easy after each of your stops to save the tyres and then have something to respond to Max later on in the stints? Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do when they stop earlier than you, or you have a bad stop. So, and at the end, like I said, I had nothing to lose. So even if it wouldn't work out, and yeah, as you could see, I could do another stop, still second. So.
Thank you. And Lewis, please.
Well, I mean, I think, I needed to make sure I looked after my tyres the best way I could, so there's certain ways that I tried to do that. Max was really quick, particularly in the get-go from every time he had the pit stop. And, you know, I had a slightly, tyre-wise, not as good, I would say, in the sense that you had the two hards, which can push more and go further. And so I was definitely, particularly in the second stint, quite conscious of trying to match the tyre life. And that's not necessarily with, you know, being able to do the same speed early on as he was. So I didn't want to tail off too much at the end and him close the gap and then undercut me. So, yeah, tried to be as tactical as I could be.
Thank you. We'll go to Dieter Renkin next, please, from Racing Lines.
Thanks, Tom. A question for Max, please. Max, you're talking about the strategy not being aggressive enough, etc. First of all, how does it work within your team? Who decides on the strategy? Because you said you couldn't get the point of it. Do you have much input into it? How does it work?
Yeah, but I think it doesn't make sense to talk about it now. I will talk with them. It's also no point, you know, to argue a lot during the race. I mean, yeah, we're at the end of the season and everything is anyway a bit done, right? So we just have to learn from it. Try to understand why. I mean, I will of course talk to them about it, and of course I will hear their reasons behind it. So yeah, it's what it is. You know, just continue.
Thank you. We'll go next to Jerome Pugmire, please.
Yeah, hi. Question for perhaps Lewis and Max, if they could each answer. Do you think drivers should be, given what happened, and obviously, you know, thankfully Romain's fine, well, relatively fine, but given what happened and the shock of seeing that, do you think drivers should be given the option whether they want to race, continue that race? Thank you.
Lewis, please.
I don't think so. I mean, we're not the safety regulators, so we're here to do a job, and we rely on the FIA and who are aware of safety, and we trust them implicitly. So, no, I do not think so.
Yeah, I don't get why you wouldn't race. If I would be the team boss, I would kick him out of the seat. If the guy wouldn't race,
yeah.
If I would be the team boss, I would tell him, well, then you never sit in the seat again. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be really silly.
I hope you're never my team boss.
I hope I will never be a team boss anyway.
Feel sorry for anyone that is going to be your driver in the future.
Thank you. We'll go next, please, to Ed Straw from The Race.
Yeah, question for Alex, please. As you said, Alex, P3, a good result, but you weren't fully satisfied because of Perez's pace. What kind of level would fully satisfy you? Would being kind of just the right side of Perez, had he not retired, being just ahead, have been enough, or is it that gap to Max that you're gauging yourself against? And how do you see the reasons for why you weren't able to kind of be closer to Max's level through that race?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm not satisfied. It's not like I'm 50%. It's like I'm 95% satisfied. So yeah. I mean, it's still a good race. Just little things, you know, fine tuning, and I know I was struggling a little bit with tyre deg through the stint, but we were on a similar strategy to Lewis. We had two mediums, so it was quite hard to push on the second stint. But saying that. Yeah, of course, I want to be better. I want to be faster and challenging more often for podiums.
Thank you, Alex. Andrew Benson from the BBC next, please.
Thank you, Tom. This one's for you, Lewis. In terms of the accident, what would you say were the main concerns that you have about safety, having looked at the replays? You know, with things like the fire and a barrier splitting and cars getting caught in it and what have you. What are your main issues?
I think, I mean, at the end of the day, the ARM code did its job, but it it's the idea of the car being on fire and the driver not being able to get out in the Armco, and obviously we've got this halo which is saving, I think for sure would have definitely helped in saving his life today. But then the knock-on effect of that could be that it would perhaps not as easy to get out. But I think it's the flames. I think the car breaking in two and then not knowing where the driver is, and him all of a sudden popping out in those flames. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like, and it's only something I've ever seen, I would say, in those old historic races, back when Benetton was on fire and many years ago. Huh?
Was my dad?
Yeah, exactly. Jeez, and what Nicky experienced, so that's definitely a major concern. But I know our fireproof overalls, they've already taken a step up this year, and I was a little bit blasé about it in the sense that I thought our suits were good enough. And this year they made them bigger and bulkier, then they heavier kit, and they're like, we're already so hot in the car already. But I think today, they had foresight, perhaps, and I think that was a good move.
Thank you, Lewis. We'll go to Alex Kalinauckas again from Autosport, please.
Thank you, Tom. It's another question for Max, please. We heard you on the radio earlier in the race saying the car was sort of jumping around like a kangaroo early on. Can you explain what that was like, what was going on there, and did it last for the whole race? Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just hopping around a lot on throttle in low speed and medium speed. Yeah.
In the front or
just
the rear?
On the rear, just like. I don't know. It was very odd. And it did get better throughout the race, but yeah, it didn't feel so nice in the beginning.
Thank you. We'll go next to Phil Duncan from PA, please.
Again?
Phil, we can't hear you.
Freaking heck, Phil.
Unmute.
Phil, how do you always do it? I don't understand.
Technology
This is a mic button.
it's complicated,
We can hear you now, Phil.
He's technically challenged.
It would be easy if we could just go in there and speak to you, to be honest. But there you go. What I was going to say, Lewis, I mean, I know you spoke about it earlier and said, it's your job to get into a car and just race, but is there any parts of you that, when you see an incident like Grosjean's and things, I'm sort of late 30s, I've won X amount of races, 7 world championships, do I really need to do this anymore, because an accident like this could happen?
I would be lying if I was to say that no. Of course, you think it's so important to continue to respect the sport and the dangers that are there. I've been racing 27 years, and I've seen from a young kid to Jules his experience. And when I was 9, I saw a kid die on the same day that I won a race, and so I've always been aware of the dangers and the risks that I take. And for sure, definitely as you get later on in life, I would say you would probably question it more than perhaps when I was in my early 20s. And so, yeah, today definitely I saw that, and I'm also thinking for Romain, I'm thinking, geez, he's got a wife and kids, and that must be something he will for sure have to think heavily on, because it's a privilege to be able to do what we do, but there's so much life also and so many other things to do beyond. But as I said, we've seen something that was pretty, it was huge, that crash, and the safety definitely reminds us of the great job that has been done, but more needs to be done, so we'll continue to work on it. And I don't have any fear, so I'm sure for all of us we just get back in and do what we do. But yeah, I'm not thinking of stopping because of that, no.
We'll leave it there. Thank you, gentlemen. Well done today. See you next week.